puck, and I'm going to try to get some miniatures done. But as you can see by the little thing in the corner, which is getting ready to not be a little thing, I have figured out, I think, a way so that when I do these paint streams, you're not just listening to me talk about whatever I'm painting. I can actually show you what I'm painting. And I mean better than, holding it up with my shaky hands in front of the camera. That's not really very fun, I don't think. So let me go ahead and make that screen bigger, like maybe that. Should I put myself down there? So you can see there's some stuff I've been working through. Let's put it in there like one at a time so that the camera can actually try to focus on something. Might need to put a ring light up, right? So here is your typical Mark 6 Blood Angel Space Marine from Horse Heresy. You can tell he's very, very simple paint job. And there's a couple of reasons. One, for Horse Heresy, I actually prefer Mark 5s and earlier. And two, and this I think is a good thing. The earlier Mark 6 Marines, right, were actually very simple. They were very easy to paint. And as Warhammer has went on, they have added more and more detail, which is, I think, fine for officer units. But for your rank and file standard Space Marine, I think they've gotten a little out of hand. By the way, this might not be the best way to store, but this is my entire Space Marine Epic Army right here, all in layers. And I've got my Imperial Guard tanks in a similar thing. I know a lot of people will be like, dude, there's no padding, blah, blah, blah. You're totally right. But the thing is that it doesn't really matter because I'm not shaking them around, kicking them about. So once they're set in there, they're just set in there. And they're not just going to randomly, snap. So we'll see how this works, when if anybody actually joins. But yeah, the main thing is I want you guys to actually see the things I paint. So yeah, that's my typical style of a Blood Angel Space Marine. He's blurring, I know. This is a good camera too. There's no reason for this camera to be blurring. Wiped up. Make sure I didn't get grease or something all over it. Yeah, that's a little bit better. It's just dark. Needs more light. But yeah, so there we go. Typical, typical Blood Angel. This is now set this up. Is it sticking on the badger? Was that the problem? Let's move that badger out of the way. Really? You're not going to focus on that? Oh, it's right there. Focus. Focus. There he is. Yeah, that's a trench priest for the uh, trench pilgrims. A blind priest that relies on divine guidance to. Now, this is one of the figures I built yesterday for from War Games Atlantic. I haven't primered him yet, but you see he's got his beret, he's got his M4, he's pointing, he's kitted out. Nobody puts Blood Angel. That's what I'm saying. Blood Angels. So pretty good figure actually. And I made another one. This guy also with a beret. So, probably a special forces or a ranger guy. And he's got like a knife in one hand and a Glock in the other. So he's ready to get it on. I like these miniatures. These new war games operators are just plain good miniatures. Now, this guy, I spent like a day and a half making, and I know some of you were kind of watching when I was making it. This is a badger for Empires at War. This is an American figure. Oh, look, my camera is backwards. Let me let me go in here and no, not in here. Where is it? I think it's uh before somebody notices. Yeah, that guy's carrying that thing in his right hand. So I don't know what is going on. Every now and then this happens. Oh, I think it's settings, video. Uh, yeah, we don't want it. Like, yeah, there we go. It was mirroring camera for some reason. So, okay, that didn't look like it fixed anything. It changed me, but it doesn't look like it changed the other camera. So let's go to the extra camera. Okay, I disabled my camera. Okay. And now let's go and do the same thing. I see my brother in chat. See, that is weird. So the computer camera is mirrored. You see what I got going on here? That's yeah, that's something. So let's go ahead and okay, let's turn my camera back on. For now. HD. So there I am, and the main camera is still backwards. Anyway, though, that is a Badger suit. It's for marchers at war, and you get four in a box. They're pretty badass, actually. Like if you put the Badger suit next to um, a Space Marine, and now I'm looking on the desk where I put my Space Marine. Does not matter that much. The Badger suit is way bigger. I mean, it towers over Space Marine. So these are things I've been working on lately. And then, of course, we got to show you, you know, the me figure. That's right. That's a damn good figure, man. I can't help it. I mean, I can't help it. That is a damn good figure. That is a damn good looking warrior right there. He looks like a crusty veteran. He's seen some shit. He's like a State Farm, you know? He knows some stuff because he's seen some stuff. Do, 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 do. Yeah, we are State Farm. Um, Anywho, fixed my Romans. They were all out of sort. I actually been organizing. I built this box that I've got the miniatures in out of just some 12 by 12 poly pro that I had laying about. And I thought, if I build a box and run my second camera, then when I'm sitting here painting stuff and I'm telling you about whatever I'm painting, I can actually set it up there and you can actually see it. Now, wouldn't that be like shocking? I thought it would. I thought, you know, listen to me talk while I'm painting stuff off camera. I mean, may not be as exciting for people. as it is for me. I mean, super exciting for me, obviously, but maybe everyone else is like, yeah, this ain't very exciting. And I thought, well, then I need to up my game a little bit, obviously, and make it where it can be a little bit more visual. Also, this format now will give you guys the opportunity to make fun of my painting, to tell me I suck, just to basically go buck wild and do whatever, right? So win-win for everybody, I guess. I haven't finished this one, but I'm going to show it off because, yeah, I'm a huge fan. Okay, now it's not. I wonder if it's that crack in the back that's like, yeah, see, it's wanting to focus in now a little better. Yeah, she's still definitely a work in progress, but as you can tell, that's I believe Miss Marvel or Power Girl, one of those two. Um, I got a bunch of STLs a while back, and I printed out a bunch of superheroes for I don't even know why. I don't even know what I was thinking, but I think we were going to try to run Marvel superheroes role playing game, and that kind of fell apart. That's what it was. So I was picking up all these superheroes just on the off chance that we were going to play a game, and it ended up not coming to pass. So, and then of course, you guys know I was working on these bad boys for like forever and a day, getting to focus in a little better. Yeah, the Scorpion lads. I did manage to get 5 of them done, I believe, and they all got different weapons. So, you know, got some axes and some this and that, and one of them's actually done up to look like it could be some kind of spellcaster or something. That one's actually packed up right this second in my miniature case. So, uh, the biggest problem with those guys actually was building them. They were a pain in the ass to build. They really were, you know. And the weapons are not the original weapons. The original weapons kind of sucked. But I happen to have extra sets of dark elves and stuff like that laying about, and some other, weapon bits, let's say. So, like this guy, if you look real close at him, and you know anything about Warhammer, you'll recognize those blades. They came off the Blackguard of Nagara set, Nagaron. Um, so yeah, I did. I always kind of do a lot of weapon swapping on my fantasy figures. That's just a thing. And now, before I actually start putting glue to miniatures, I'll show you one last guy. Um, I can't put him in the background. That'll probably jack the camera all up. The camera will freak out and start being like, "Why? What's going on?" This is another guy I built, except let's see if I can get that to focus in. Except I used the weapon and the head from the agent set. So that's actually a operator body, but he's wearing a. Come on now. This camera usually never has a problem, but all of a sudden I set it up and it's like trying to act up. And that's dead center. And look at that blur. Okay, there. There's a check card camera and then make it focus in again. There we go. So he's got an MP5K. He's not wearing any headgear, but he's got his aviators on. So, you know, while the other two I built are definitely Rangers or Green Berets, um, they could be either. Those guys, that guy is just 100% some kind of you know, um, who knows, assassin, bodyguard. I mean, I was sitting here looking at the agent, survivor, and uh, operator kits. And one thing that actually shot out at me pretty hardcore was that using those three kits, you could easily make just about any kind of character you would want for a cyberpunk game. I mean, it would literally be like not even an issue, you know. You could put together like street Sams and whatever. If you want a guy to look like you're um like a hacker or a decker or whatever, just give him the suitcase and the keyboard and let him go. This is actually one of my favorite wizards that I have. I mean, the wash is a little heavy on him, but this is the STL for the wizard from Dragonbait. And yeah, I totally dig it for whatever reason. I think it's a really good figure. So, anyway, I'm getting ready to start doing some stuff. One, I've got this guy here, and he's got no arms on it. Not super cool, you know. He would like arms. I just have the feeling he would like arms. And I need to find some arms for him that reflect the fact that he is wearing plate armor. So I can't just give him, bare arms. That's not going to look good, he's popping out, he's wearing plate mail. And now this body is a North Star demon figure. Not that they actually do look like demons, they don't. But he's got a Reaper head on him, right? That's the Reaper head that you can get in the set that gives you uh, all the extra helmets and weapons and stuff like that. So you're a gizzard. You're a gizzard. You're a gizzard, Harry. And be like, wait, what? I don't think I want to be one of those, whatever the hell that is, right? So sitting next to me on the floor, I kid you not, there's probably about, I don't know, 50 screws. That needs to be dealt with ASAP. But until I do deal with it, let's concentrate on what we're concentrating on. And that is finding some arms for this poor, helpless, armless knight. And of course, the first three sprues I look at are all flagellants or flagellants. Yeah, when I say flagellants, I always think, like that guy's had too much Taco Bell or something, right? Flagellants sounds better, I think. Yeah, we'll go with flagellants. And so I've got some really cool shields I can put on him that look kind of evilish. I like that because He's looking like he's going to be a bad guy for sure. So let's see here. Yeah, that's a good shield. So now I just need to find heavily armored arms for this bad boy. And it cannot be these because they're wearing cloth. That would simply not do, my good sirs. So we keep searching. See, it could totally be these, but I don't know how well it would look. I mean, hmm, it might actually look really good, but okay. It can't be these World War II Germans because I'm not willing to cross the line that far with making, kit bashing. That might be a bridge too far even for me. Kit bashing a bunch of German parts with a bunch of fantasy parts would be like, okay. Probably look badass though. You got that heavily armored knight, give him an MG42, throw him on the table against something and just let him stare at it for a minute. Like, then call the doctor to find out if I'm having a stroke or something, right? Be like, our DM must obviously be having a stroke because, we're sitting here trying to play a game. And for some reason, he thought it'd be a good idea to throw a freaking gigantic warrior in plate mail armed with an MG42. More what the doctor would say. Like if I showed up and they did the eval and I was like, I thought it'd just be a good time, right? They might just be like, yeah, this guy needs locked up. See, this could be a good look for the guy. I just got I've got in my hand, right, some extra um, executioners. So the question is, do I want to give this guy like a big ass dark elf two-handed sword? Or even a halberd, the halberd would look pretty badass on him, right? The problem though is I'm looking, oh, there's the other hand. Okay, so that would work. Yeah, that would definitely work. So I will let you guys answer this question. There's only a couple of you, so this should be quick enough. Should he get a big two-handed sword, like a really wicked, evil-looking two-handed sword, or should he get a big, wicked-looking halberd? Like, which way would you go with that? Halberd or sword? And I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think about it. And then if you don't respond, I'll just do whatever the hell I was going to do anyway. First off, I'm going to set them together to see if they actually look like they would work. That's one thing. And two, yeah, this guy's not for any particular war game, so I really don't care that it's going to have like all these different parts. This guy's going to be used for like my role playing game. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the halberd because I really don't feel like enough guys are equipped with pole arms in games, especially even knights. Like the arm is armored, so that's good. But yeah, I don't like the way the pole arms. Let's try it out. Let's see. Okay, if I do it like that, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good actually. and it's going to have chainmail sleeves with some, but he's got mail underneath the plate armor, so the fact that his sleeves are mail would actually be just fine. See, the thing is, I got these plastic blackguard, and I've just been using them as parts. And I know a lot of people are like, "See, I got these things years ago, right?" But then I actually set out my Dark Elf army and started looking at it. And the thing I realized is that I actually prefer the metal. And I usually hate the metals. But in this particular case, I actually like my blackguard, the metal figures. Now, with my witch elves, I have to say I kind of like the plastic ones. With the executioners, I'm sticking with the metal ones. With the corsairs, plastic. So I mean, there's like a whole range of basically it's whichever one looks the coolest, right? And the plastic corsairs look way cooler than the metal. The plastic dark riders look way cooler. The plastic freaking cold one riders way cool. But what I did is the cold one chariot. I actually took the new cold ones, but put them on the old chariot because the new chariot with like the mono wheel and all that. I was like, what is that? I mean, what? Why is that? No, I'm keeping my original one. So here in a second, I'll have this glued on, and oh yeah, this is what I want right here. There were two halberd arms, and the first one I put on, I just was not super happy. But this one, I am super happy with. This one, I'm like, oh yeah. You know how happy I am? I'm so happy that the next game we play, this guy might show up, which means I'm gonna have to paint. And a new thing I've started doing recently is plate mail armor. I'm not just painting it metallic anymore. I've actually been going with colors on the plate mail, not the chain mail, but on the plate mail to give it the look like it's got and thanks, Mike, for having an opinion. Um, yeah, so I've started definitely painting the actual metal to look like it's lacquered while I um, leave the chain mail the way it is. So let's see. If I have to, if there's anything that's way too dark elf about this guy, I can scrape it off of the weapon. But basically, that's what we're looking at, right? We're looking at a big knight with a long freaking halberd, perfect for hooking people off of horses, stabbing them in the face, chopping through shield walls, and he's super armored. That brings a thing up though, bros and other bros, because let's be honest, it's only bros watching this channel. Do you think he should have a cape? Should this guy be wearing a cape? Uh-oh. Hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. It's a Timmy. I figured you'd be playing Conan, Timmy.
I was.
So there's another poll for you guys. Should he have a cloak?
Yes, he definitely should.
Tim says yes.
It's obvious.
So far led me too wrong on things. So Yeah, I mean, I think so. He can put his colors. This guy would make a good Frostgrave figure. Now, the body, like I said, is from North Star's Frostgrave Demon range, half of which have like the demonic hoof feet, and the other half have normal feet. And I personally like the normal feet ones because they just look like people in like really over the top plate mill. Yeah, cloak is what I meant, not a cape, a cloak. Sorry.
I thought you said a cloak. I might have misheard you.
I don't know. I might have said
I said both, maybe. I don't know. Maybe one moment you said one and the other later.
look, I never know what I'm saying. So it could have been anything.
Now talking about Conan, I did unlock everything from the library.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went over to SEPTA the other night and was running around. I wiped out the entire, the camp where the Black Hand crew members are.
Yeah.
I wiped them completely out. It
I've
was
been
not worth it.
I've been hunting
Well,
around
it
for a
was worth
curse.
it because I've got a new build I'm working on,
Hmm.
which is a pet build. So
Eh,
I'm taking Svetlana and Bianca with me, and even with my strength from 20 to 15, I'm uh I'm still wrecking the shit out of faces. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
And and then having both of those pets down, and they're both equipped with like void crafted
Void forged armor and weapons or something.
well, yeah, great swords,
Yeah.
which have like a damage of 80 something.
Not bad.
And yeah, so I pretty much soloed every boss in the outside of the arena dungeon, soloed every boss in the Forbidden City or whatever. Then went to suit. Well, then I killed all the world bosses, the crocodiles and the giant spiders and shit. And then I went to Super Maru, or not Super Maru, the Isle of Septa, and started, killing everything over there too.
Yeah, I need to do some SIPTA dungeons, really.
Yeah, yeah.
For the
The
Eldari.
I'll tell you what, too, actually cooks in game, and some people, I don't know who said it wasn't that great, but they were not right. The one where your pets regain a little bit of health every time you do damage.
Not bad.
Not bad. That shit is OP as hell.
I still think that
Because
well trained is like the most OP of the authority builds.
yeah, I know you say that, but here's the thing: do you think your well-trained Delencia could beat two Delencias that
Yeah,
heal every time I take damage?
I mean maybe
The
I
answer
could
is no. It's not
they
even possible.
that one Delencia does a lot of damage, especially once
Yeah,
I
but
heal her
my
up.
Delencia is like level 15 now. So you got two Delencias with void swords that ignore 40% of your armor, and me debuffing your armor. And then every time I do damage, they heal. So that's the cloak I decided to go with, guys.
Nice. Yep. I
Um,
think it looks great there.
yeah, kind of because of the motion of him, he looks like he's getting ready to charge in. So, what did you miss? I have set up this new thing where you see my beautiful face down in the corner, and with a secondary camera, I can show you the miniatures I'm working on. So, the one that's on screen right now, I literally just built. Oh, I must be hitting puberty. Um, Now I am going to copy something from Shadow and Son. I'm going to start painting my cultists up, to look like the cultists on the box of Blue Oyster Cult, veteran of the Psychic Wars. He did some like that, and I was like, damn, those actually look really good. So I am big games. What up, homie? So I'm definitely going to steal that idea and just start painting up. Because, I mean, that's just a cool way to paint up your cultists, you know? Let me see. How painted is this guy? I need to fix his forehead and the buttons. Put him down, though, so you guys can see. Oh, I got to turn him so he can look into the camera. I don't know if Timmy will get who this is, but I bet you Haas does, though. Let's see which one of you guys can guess who this is first. And if you've got any like if there's anything you could say, hey, you know, you messed up on something here or there, let me know. You can see on his chest I even added the button. Because he's gotta have the button. Otherwise it can't be him, right? Maybe I need to take one of my Gundam pins and actually paint in a little smiley face. Now, that has been so many hints as far as who that is that if none of you guess, I'm just going to assume you guys just don't want to talk to me and you think I smell bad. And that would be sad because honestly, I smell pretty good.
I'm guessing it's from The Watchmen if you're talking about a pin with a smiley face on it. I'd never
Yeah, but
watched it,
you know
so
what? I'm still not taking your guess because you're guessing it's from The Watchmen. What does that even mean?
yeah, it's a character I'd never watched. That's what it means. I don't know.
Exactly.
I only know about the pin because I think it was in a lot of the advertisement, wasn't it?
Well, because the main guy, well, kind of the guy who set off the chain of events that led to everything always wore that pin. Look at that. 6 people in chat. No one wants to take a guess who that could be with all the hints I gave you guys. Come on. I'll start making fun of you or something. I don't know. You guys are letting me down pretty hard right this second. It's like, yeah, there you go, James. See, I knew somebody had to get it. I'm just sitting here like, come on, there's no way my beloved crowd full of nerds has no idea who this is. I mean, come on, you know, somebody's got it now. I have, and I've thought about buying them. One, not just because of the miniatures, but for the game. I've heard the game's actually pretty good, but I have no idea who that could be. The Sagwa. Steven. No, it's not Thagwa. That's funny though,
I
but
was
it's
first going to
okay
guess
because
Mecha Hitler.
what?
I was going to guess Mecha Hitler at first.
Yeah, see, that's just being a smartass. Nobody needs that. So this is a super old, and I'm going to be using this guy in my Hyperborea game. This is a super old Chaos Warrior from, I don't know, maybe 25 years ago, maybe 20, when they come out with like the monopose plastics. And of course, I gave him a totally different shield and a totally different head. The head, as I said, I believe. Let me double check before I lie to you. Who made this head? Medieval Fantasy Heads, Renedra. Uh, Damn, did I get this from Victrix or did I get this from Game or War Games Atlantic? I'm not 100% sure. But it comes with a bunch of heads on each sprue that kind of look like uh, Rohan, the winged helmets. And then it comes with an assortment of just crazy, wild looking, mostly pot helms. But as you can see, that one in particular looks a lot more like a modified Spangen helm. Yeah, I like them too. And, I've got the Chaos Army, but as of late, because I got the new Chaos Warriors a while back, I've kind of been modding these guys up. Like this guy with the big corn head, I'm probably going to get rid of that big helmet. I'm probably going to try to give him a more wicked looking weapon, and he's probably going to get shield. Also, remember on this camera, for some reason, everything's backwards, it looks like. So, but yeah, I got a bunch of those guys. But then now I've got a bunch of the actual newer ones that came out just before they blew up the old world. So the big knights and the different chaos guys and everything, and it's really cool. But yeah, the spruce set pretty much comes with a collection of just shields, cloaks, and heads. That's all it is. Just a bunch of shields and cloaks and heads. And I think you get like two or three, maybe even four of these guys when you buy. And there's even little designs for the helmets, like things that go around the top of the helmet. This one's really good. It's a helmet and it's got two snakes facing each other, coming together, but they are one. A black sun and a black moon. There's a cost barbarian. You got to do the dirty. Bow, chicka, bow, bow, chicka, bow, chicka, bow, bow. But anyway, I went to a whole different place there for a second, guys. Excuse me. I don't even know what I was thinking. I know what I was thinking. I was thinking I would have done exactly what Conan did because that witch, whatever the hell that woman was pretty hot. I don't care what anyone says. I'm out in the middle of the woods, you know, some super hot chicks like warm my, you know, come warm yourself at the fire. I mean, I'm thinking I'm doing that. You know what I mean? Brown chicken, brown cow. Exactly. I'm sure there's some guys out there that are like, oh no, not me. I never would. I'm saying if I had been in Conan's position at that particular moment, I would have done the same thing. So I really can't talk shit about Conan, doing that. Because, yeah, that'd been me too. I've been like, you know, hopefully I would have had the wherewithal to keep my nuts around me and chuck that bitch into the fire when things start getting a little bit hectic. But you never know, right? What do you think, Timmy? Would you have done it?
I don't know.
Don't lie, you would have. Come on.
It's all about
Have you
circumstance.
seen that movie?
Nope. I've seen clips of it.
Ah, yeah, your parents probably made you close your eyes during that scene.
I never watched it.
Oh, then you are, I would say, a deprived child. And as soon as possible, you should fix that situation. And then when Shadow comes around and starts talking about how the movies don't count, you can be on my side in the argument and tell him how they do count because it's all part of the greater lore of Conan. And he'll argue that only what R.E. Howard wrote counts. And my counter argument will be like, no, everything that was approved by the Howard estate counts, including the role playing games, etc. And then we'll
Here's
go back and forth about that for a while. It'll
here's the
be a lot of
thing.
fun. You'll love it.
What if the Howard estate starts adding a bunch of crap that's not realistically good for the series or fits in with the original lore?
Then I will be sad. But what are you going to do? You know, I mean, literally, what are you going to do about
Ignore it and like whatever I like about the originals and ignore what the Howard estate says.
it? That is an option. I do admit that is 100% an option that you could do. You could just be like, I just like what I like, right? But you know what you couldn't do is you couldn't argue what is and is not canon. You could just argue about what you like.
What if
Because
what
even
they
if they
accept as
started
canon?
adding stuff you absolutely hated, it would still be canon.
What if the stuff actually, ignored canon and was going against the canon?
Then you'd be like me and everyone else on the planet, I think. I mean, we're playing Conan Exiled Lands, right?
Yeah,
There are no exiled lands. There never were any exiled lands. Like, I have the 2.20 role playing book that allows you to play in the exiled lands, but and it explains how it exists and where it exists, etc. But in any actual Conan story outside of the game, that place don't exist and never has.
fair.
So, I mean, there is that, but it doesn't stop us from enjoying the hell out of it. I built a little bit of a base, by the way, down near the city.
Nice.
Except this time, instead of going with Lost Dungeon or whatever, I decided to go with Aquilonian. And it's very small because I didn't have a lot of, building
You just didn't have
materials.
much building materials. Fair enough.
No, I had what my horse was. I loaded up what I thought would be enough, and ended up I was wrong. It was not enough, but that's okay. Speaking of Shadow, you know the rule. If we say his name enough, he will appear.
Shadow, 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 shadow.
Yeah, you just got to keep saying his name. Eventually, he will show up.
It's not like Beetlejuice,
Right.
is it?
Yeah, just like Beetlejuice. If you say his name, except instead of 3 times, it's like if you say his name 6 or 12 times, or I think because he is Shadow, it's different every time. It's just the number is constantly changing. But, but it doesn't change the fact that if you say his name that perfect set of times, he does appear. So let me see how this looks. Does this look okay? I don't know. The arms are a little bit short for that body. She's a tall bitch. All right, so let's see. Need that. Got nothing up there for you guys to look at right now. That is a negative of me. Apologies, my good sirs. While you're sitting there, have a look at these Viking berserkers, or I believe they're actually called Ulfgenvir or something. I still need to do the brass on the weapons and stuff, and some of the halves, but yeah, there you go. Viking Ulfgenvir. Yeah, they're berserkers that think they're bears. That's kind of their deal. They're like, I'm a bear. Woohoo! Look at me. I am a bear. Shadow, I summon thee.
Talking about
Let me
berserkers,
think.
I'm starting to get a decent number of accursed berserkers.
Oh, Shadow, I summon thee by Rosalind's thick lips, and I forget the rest of it.
Shadow, come out and play.
Oh, yeah, that's even better, right? Oh, Shadow, come out and play. The dude who played the bad guy in that movie, I don't think he ever played a good guy in any movie because he was
Yeah,
also the bad guy in Dreamscape.
yeah, he might have been typecast. That kind of happens
It's
a bit.
just something about his face. He looks like a bad guy. So they keep casting him as a bad guy. And Dreamscape was about this like super duper secret squirrel CIA thing that where these guys could go into other people's dreams and kill them. And of course the bad guy decided to go into the president's dreams and kill him. And the good guy had to go in and fight him. Clicking the beer bottles together. Yeah, that shit was when that movie came out at the age I was, that was a pretty intense movie. That was a pretty intense movie. Of course, my mom never wanted to shelter me from the realities of the world. Let me watch Jaws when I was like 7. So, yeah, I mean, I basically was screwed up from a very young age. That's pretty much how that is. Because, I mean, come on. Really? Jaws? I'm 7. I don't understand stuff. And now there's a 20 something foot shark, cruising around eating people.
Well, the kids
And I'm like,
my age, they got traumatized by Watership Down.
oh no, you get traumatized by Worship Down in class. That was something they showed you in school.
I know.
That's how, no F's were given, man. When we were in school, yeah, they set a whole day aside just to traumatize us with that shit. Such a, hola, such a.
Hey,
Yeah, I even had to go with the Vikings. I have some special Vikings here, and it's like I'm going to show him, and I actually have a whole army of them. And by an army, I mean like 20 of them. And I don't want any of you knuckleheads saying anything because every time people see this army or war band, they always got something to say. And I always have to explain to them that they don't know what in the hell they're talking about. But I'd rather not do that every single time, I bring a figure out. So let me see where he is. If I can't find him, it won't matter. And all of this me complaining would have been for naught. So there is that. Where are they? I've got a bunch of them. They've even got their own ship. They have their own pirate ship. I think you guys are smart enough though that you'll figure out what it is and what it's not. Okay. I got a bunch of freaking Russians over here. What's they doing? Building a Russian army, obviously. Oh, and by the way, this is the medal. One of the 40 or so of these guys I got. And that paint job has been on there since, oh God, I don't even know. The only thing that's changed with them is they've been rebased. So they're on round bases, but otherwise, that is, that's who I'm going. Oh, here's one. This is just a kind of a peasant, but yeah, I'll show him. Why not show him off? Here we go. There you go. Check that out, right? So, who's got opinions about that? So that I can explain to them that that's actually Estonians. That's the symbol the Estonians used in the 9th and 10th and 11th century. Yeah, a lot of the Yams Vikings. And I've got a whole crew of them, because why not? Now, these dark elves, these witch elves are way better than the old, way better. I mean, it just is what it is. The new witch elf, you see how she's got dagger tucked under in the other one. She's getting ready to get somebody. Somebody's getting ready to not have a good time. And I totally love it. And then here is not on a base because I haven't based him yet. These guys kind of suck. Black Art Corsairs. The metal ones are kind of trash. The plastic ones are freaking epic. They're the ones you want. If you ever decided for some reason to try to build dark elves at this time in your life, which honestly I would have no idea what you were thinking, but hey, people do weird shit, right? Yeah, yeah. But I honestly do not necessarily care so much for the witch elves are dated, and like I said, the corsairs are dated, but the rest of the line is pretty good. This is a Mantic Northern Alliance guy, but I put the head of the Savage Humans from the Archipelago game by North Star Miniatures, right? And then I put the fetish mask on. So in Hyperborea, he can represent any of the tribes that live in the tundra. And that's why you'll notice like pretty much everything he's wearing is, I don't know, made of natural materials. He's kind of out there, doing his thing. And I'm a fan of that. Huge fan of that. But yeah. So that's kind of, I mean, I could go off on a thing. I don't know if you guys would like it and you would just leave, but just start showing you all of my Star Frontiers ships that I have. I ran into a guy a couple of years ago now, at least, and he traded me a whole box full of Star Frontiers starships for a copy of the Mutant Crisis Protocol or whatever. So, I mean, the game, which I bought, it cost like $65, right? Uh, thank you. Um, so yeah, the game cost like $65. And I called him when the game arrived from like Amazon or wherever. And I said, yeah, I got the game here. And he drove over and handed me two big ass boxes. I mean, two big boxes of like, those multi compartmentalized boxes people use to store like crafts and miniatures in. And they were slap full. There was even a box of uh, the good guys, UPF ships, still in the cardboard box. The only thing he had done is, like a lot of us back in the day, he kind of had over primered them a little bit. The primer on them was pretty thick, but I didn't really bother trying to get the primer out, get rid of it. I just pretty much was like, yeah, whatever, and moved on with my life. So I need Barbarian Kit 2. What I need is a better organizational system. See, here I've got some Arabs. This is henchmen, which could work, but I don't want it to work. More flagellants, late Romans, Phoenix Guard, late Romans, satyrs, except these satyrs all have, I've used all the horned heads, so these are just like Arabs. I've got a lot of Arabs, guys. Yeah, I like my berserkers pretty good. Like I said, they're not finished. I still need to do detail work, like beards and shit, right? But they came out really well. And I've got bases that are actually flocked up and everything. So when they're in the base, they look pretty sharp. And this is one of the later things I was working on. And there's one of them somewhere on the table somewhere I need to find. Um, these guys would probably never be actually fielded together, but they're Irish nobles, like Dark Age Irish chieftains. You can see they need their blackwash on their armor and everything, and I need to paint them up in greens and whatever. But yeah, those are the chieftains. And yeah, you would typically never have those all mounted up together. Now, the problem with the games, the War Games Atlantic Satyr Brute kit, is it comes with just enough heads to go on the bodies, and all the bodies are hooved. And a lot of these heads look like they could be beastmen heads. There's like one that looks like a donkey, one that could be definitely a goat, but it doesn't have horns. There's a wolf, and then there's another one that I don't know what hell that is. Maybe another kind of horse. So, you can make up your typical satyrs, which I use for men of Ling, but then the rest of the sprues, see, I'm supposedly going to have some demons showing up soon, like some North Star Miniatures demons. And I may throw some of if there's unarmored demon heads, I may throw those jokers on those bodies, just so I can use the bodies because right now I'm not super a huge fan of the way they look, you know. Now I am making and this could be a bad guy or even a good guy. This lady right here, I'm looking for weapons for her, but that is obviously a cleric of Yonde, quite possibly, or druid of Yonde. And as I've said multiple times, even though I could be wrong, in my head canon, Yonde is 100% the black goat of the wood, with 1,000 young and all that. Now, I'm sure there are people out there that would be like, no, Yonde is not that. But I'm going with yes, that is exactly what Yonde is. Another thing with the satyrs is they're a little bit bigger, but I could easily put like orc heads, any other kind of heads on them. Coochie, how you doing, brother? Um, I'm just going through sprues looking for a specific set of sprues so that I can find a specific set of weapons to give to the lady in question on the other camera. Now I could really easily do a axe and shield thing with her. They do have plenty of parts to do. The only negative to the this wolf whatever okay, I do have the box, so I can try and remember. The Shield Wolf Shield Maiden infantry set. The only negative is it comes with crossbows. It does not come with any bows. And I mean, yes, I like crossbows. Crossbows are awesome, but I really feel like it should have some just standard bows as well. That just feels, you know, like a thing, that should happen. But okay, more flagellants, serpent men, late Roman, horsemen, fantasy heads. So let's put all that. I'm doing a little organizing right this second with these sprues I've got laid out. See, it'd be so much easier for me if I would just pick something and finish it, but that is just not in my nature.
And what's the fun in that?
Yeah, what is the fun in that? I want to go hog wild, just, you know, make all kinds of weird ass shit because kit bashing is my favorite thing. All right, what do we got here?
Yep.
Werewolf arms, which will work great with the um, idiots, flagellants, some space orcs, some bits from old school Persians. We're talking like Greek era Persian, and then some pygmies, which I need to get these pygmies done because again, in the Plateau of Lane, there's a huge citadel ruled over by an undying wizard who is served by these pygmies, these little bastards, these little chocho people or choo-choo people. Which I wonder if they did that on purpose, chocho, if it's pronounced chocho, because that's Russian for a little. Yeah, chocho. So, they named a whole group of people little, a little. It's kind of funny. Arabic horsemen. I need to get these bad boys put together. If my brother ever visits me, I need to be ready for our crusade game. Okay, here we go. Found them. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as they say. And okay, I think that crazy biatch, I think she has to get a great weapon. But the question is, does she get a great axe or a great sword? I mean, the axe is definitely a lot more brutal. Yeah, I think
In
I'll go with
Maul.
the axe. Well, it's got like a mace. I don't see a maul
Ah,
on this particular sprue. But the important thing is it's got bows. I
yep.
want some of those GW. The pygmies I have are from North Star Miniatures. these guys, they call them, oh, I forgot. They call them island savages, right? But I mean, you put them together, you put the fetish on them, you paint them up, and guess what? You've got Chocho people or any other kind of savage, cannibals you might need for any game. And then you can take some of your Northern Alliance people, if you ever had any from Mantic, and just absolutely easily throw a head and a fetish mask on him. And now you've got, you know, an Eskimo. Because you have to remember, as much as certain people might have been a little bit offended by the use of the word Eskimo, um, the Eskimo in Hyperborea, which are the only ones I care about, they they a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are 100% worshippers of Cthulhu and quite possibly cannibals. So yeah, it just is what it is. So then using the head from cultist number 3 and then the body from Shield Wolf Rangers and then a arm from Barbarian 2, which is female barbarians, we're going to end up with this as a character that can show up in the game and cause no end of problems to your beloved group. And since she's so tall, right, I could easily say she is a Hyperborean priestess of Yonde. And if a priestess or a druid can't use a two-handed axe, guess what? I can say she's a level 4. And at level 4, she could choose to be proficient with a two-handed axe. And that fixes all of anybody's problems that they might have. Just that quick. You see? See how easy it can be if you just let it? It can be that easy. All you got to do is just kick back. Be like, yep, this is what we're doing. So I think I pretty much got a lot of my spruce separated out. That's good. So at least I got some things organized. And I need to keep the barbarians out because I want to equip these other barbarian women with bows. And yeah, so they'll be basically rangers. So I've been mounting all of my cavalry on these pill bases because that's what Baron's War uses. And additionally, I just figured out, because I'm a dumbass, right? How these guys are lipped. That's the side you put the horse in. Because Games Workshop wants the island that, the horses are that puddle, basically, as they call it, or whatever. They want that to vanish when you actually um, put the rest of the stuff in there. So I'm actually a pretty damn good idea. I thought I was like, that is actually a pretty damn good idea. I have to admit. So, but I haven't seen the GW Pygmies, so I don't know anything about what they look like or anything at all, honestly. So what do we have here? We've got a dude. He's wearing a. Okay, so he's on a flat base, so he's going to look short already by a millimeter or two. He's got the helmet from my fantasy set, and I'm probably going to want to find just some standard human equipment for this guy. But yep, never ever in my entire life did I know that Games Workshop even made pygmies. But like I said, War Games Atlantic does. So there you go. Oh, wonder if this will work. Let's try this out. Now, how I will make him taller, since he's on the flat base, is I'll glue a 25 millimeter washer underneath it. And the washers generally have enough room to put like one of your smaller magnets in there. I like the fact that it gives it the illusion of weight. It makes it as tall as your other figures. It doesn't waste, a whole base that came with a bunch of figures. And if you want to put the magnet in, you can. So yeah, and 25 millimeter still bases, they're not that expensive, right? If you get them on there, special Vikings. Yeah, isn't that all of the Vikings on frickin' Hyperborea? I mean, they're all a little special. So just to show you real quick what I'm talking about, see, I put him on the metal, and all of a sudden he's a little taller, and and then I'm going to put the weapons on him, and I'm going to use kind of a, I'm going to go with a kind of a different thing here. So we'll see what you guys think about it after I've done it. This is Total Kit Bash too, because this is, like I said, it's made up of like 3 different kits. In the end, the hope is I come out with just a cool looking figure I can throw on the table and, you know, using Frostgrave, using 5 Leagues from Home, whatever game I happen to be playing at the time. So, yeah. There's a little tab there. I could have used a knife, but actually, I better use the knife because I tried to get it with my teeth and it didn't work. So Sunday, is something going on today that I don't know about? Usually I have a couple of,
I,
Let's here, but he's letting me ramble on.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if anything's happening today. I know I have my game tonight, but
Oh, okay.
eh,
Yeah, Leth is not really a miniatures gamer, I guess.
no, I don't know much about miniatures. I really didn't get into that.
See, kit bashing, Leth, is when you take multiple different kits and
I
use parts from them
I know what
to
kit
make
bashing is.
something. Okay, so you're halfway there then.
I mean, I've seen what kit bashing was whenever I heard about what they did with like Star Wars vehicles. They
Oh,
did
that
that a
one
lot.
idiot that made a whole army of Jar Jar Binks guys.
No,
So
no,
I've decided.
I'm talking about like industrial light magic. You know, that whenever they were making like the ships for Star Wars, they would kit bash a lot.
Well, of course, because nothing existed for them to.
I know.
So here we have a barbarian body, a winged helmet for whatever reason, and a big freaking maul, like hammer, matic, whatever. So that guy's not only done, but he's going to be easy to paint because I really only got to paint the arms to match the body, right? And that lady's done. So that means I need to go ahead and gather up from the sprues I just had the bows I want to use and go ahead and start slapping some bows on some biatches, right? Also, I really like the barbarian heads more than I like the Valkyrie heads. Some of the Valkyrie
Oh,
heads are pretty cool, but a lot of them, the
I think
hair's
it's
like,
dinner time. I'll see you.
okay, the hair's all over the place, you know. They just don't look right. So so anyway, we will just pick out our. You guys can continue to look at that beautiful young lady there, who may or may not become a friend of the group. You never know. You never know what might happen in a game of Hyperborea. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends, you know, all kinds of stuff like that can happen. So, any you guys got anything fun going on this evening or this weekend? I mean, me, I don't know if it's fun or not, but it's an addiction. I will probably, after I get done here, be back on Conan running around and building stuff and, just basically being a menace to society. That is kind of, the thing I like to do. Run around and be a menace. And for some reason, the other people on the server, they allow me to get away with it though. So really it's their fault, right? If they didn't want me to get away with it, they should try to say something. But all right, so I've got my parts out, and I've decided I got two bows, and I've got one with like punch daggers. So I am definitely going to use these punch daggers. Uh, Reasons? Well, they do exist in Hyperborea punch daggers. It is a weapon that players can get their hands on. So, kind of like Tonfa and other weapons like that. Yes, they do exist. And two, I think it just will look kind of cool to have a big female, barbarian with a pair of punch daggers. And because she's got the punch daggers, I'm also going to give her like the crazy looking head too, right? There's a head where she's got like for lack of a better word, it looks like the Sumerian helmet from Conan Online. So we'll go ahead and let her have the punch daggers. Now, interestingly enough, right? The Shield Wolf miniatures, they go together with like a ball and socket. And so do the North Star Barbarian number 2 box. So the heads, have that little round bit. And it turns out they fit perfect inside, of the little socket. So now I've got this weird looking barbarian. I'm not done with her yet though. There's one more thing she's gotta have. And I'm gluing her on right now. And then you guys will see. And then we set her in front next to her friend, and you guys can have a look and determine if you think that's a cool miniature or if I should have went some other kind of way. But so yeah, I like it. Now the next couple are going to be pretty dead simple since they're just archers. So I just need to glue the bow on, and then I'll probably throw some kind of weapon in a scabbard on them because, you know, it's a long bow she's got. That is a big one. Because this woman is about, she's got to be close to 6 foot, maybe 6'1", somewhere in that range. Just compared to, her size to some of the other miniatures. She's a big girl. So this is definitely, the bow is 6.5 feet long, I would say, at least. So, boom. There we go. I'm going to put the bow on each of them and then go back to do the other arm. That way it'll be, give the bow long enough to kind of settle in before I start messing with it. So we're getting ready to build a 4-lady squad. Now we got a guy with we got a lady with her um, great axe, a lady with punch daggers, and then we're gonna have 2 ladies with bows. I think that's a good little unit, right? If these were more Greek looking, I would say Amazons all day, but they're definitely more Scandinavian looking. And like I said, the other box set uses the same bodies, has a couple of different weapons, and has backs you can glue on that have wings. So if you want to make actual like winged Valkyrie type miniatures for a game, they give you the option to do exactly that. Which is I think pretty cool. You know. Pretty cool. Let's see now. Tell you what, the North Star Barbarian female heads, they fit these girls so well. It really is like amazing, you know. Then I need to get this in here. I mean, they're not going to be. I give her arrows at least. Put her up here. So yeah, there you got the female archer. She's just unleashed an arrow downrange at something. So now we've just got the next one to do. Let's see. You guys are quiet. Are y'all working while you're listening to this or watching it? Also, hello, Cold Iron. I didn't see you last night. I think I fell asleep early. I know I fell asleep early. I fell asleep this morning too. I was playing Conan with the guys. Heard one of them be like, "Is James is asleep?" And everyone's like, "Yep, he is asleep." Yes. Then I woke up and went hog wild dungeon hopping, but yeah, for a little bit, I was totally 100% knocked the hell out. If you're wondering what all that squeaking and mess was, like usual, my fat fingers dropped an arm and I had to mess around and get it. Okay, so let's see if I can line this up right. Yeah, yeah. That's right. Had a hell of a time getting her to. I mean, it's lining up, but I want it to be perfect. You know what I mean? I want perfection. This is being a pain. No, let's pick the arm up again. The thing is, too, you'd be like, well, do it over the table. Yeah, I do. And then they freaking bounce off the table. Ugh. Mm-mm-mm. So, let's see. No seams. That is my goal when I put an arm on. I do not want to see any seams at the shoulder connections. Okay, this is okay, so lady at weight with bow. I can totally dig it. It's looking really good. Let's get it. Okay, get it in there. Then find a head that screams, I am an archer. Maybe, well, her hood is down, so I can't use a hood. I've got some wild hair. I got some weird haircuts. Not really a super fan of a lot of that. Really weird haircuts. But I think this one, she's got like a top knot. She's wearing like a, actually, she's wearing like a Spangen helmet, like a light helmet with a top knot. I think that goes pretty well with archers, right? Time we got it's 1 hour 30 minutes in, so not too much longer of this. But I have to say, and I don't know, you guys can tell me on Discord or in comments or something if you liked this better. I know I do. I know I like this way better. The idea that, what I'm working on, you guys can actually see. So there is my four girls. Of course, this one's, she's ready. She's got her bow out. She's looking around, right? Then we got the big ass axe, punch daggers, and the other bow. I need to glue a quiver on the one I just built. I didn't put a quiver on her, but you know, have her up here with this guy. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking for Mordheim. Have you ladies seen Mordheim? I'm a youngin. I'm gonna go to Mordheim and get killed, probably mutated too, because kind of shit that happens in Mordheim. They're all like, look, we're Cimmerian or Celtic warriors. We're guarding our spot. So I suggest you wander on wherever you came from, because otherwise it's going to get bad around here. See, that's what they're kind of saying, you know. I might actually put some paint on a brush real quick. This has been building things, right? But this guy definitely needs some paint. He is definitely not having the time of his life here. So let's go ahead and get him a little paint on all that fur he's got. This guy's cloak has a whole thing fur. And I'm going to go with like a tan color at first. And then we'll shade it and then we'll see how I want to go with it. You know what I mean? Like, he's wearing a cloak. And there's a part of me, a big part of me, that almost wants to paint the cloak flesh colored. And I think I might actually pursue that. As if to say, here is a warrior who has literally made a cloak out of the men he has slayed. Right. Now, I remember in a Conan book, Conan actually did fight with this guy who had a cloak made out of scalps of all the men he had killed, right? So I thought I would be slick and I would add that to the Hyperborea game. I never expected that the cleric in the group would be the one to after they defeated the bad guy, take the cloak and like wear it around and stuff. And so you got all these people just looking at him like, what is this guy's problem, Because it's pretty obvious. He's got serious problems. I mean, again, he's walking around and he's wearing a cloak that's made out of scalps. So it's mostly, brown and blonde with some blotches of red in there. And it don't stink anymore at least, but still. And then the guy wonders why he's not often welcomed like with open arms everywhere he goes. And it's like, well, I don't want to be the one to point this out, but you are kind of wearing a piece of clothing made from the remnants of dead humans. And a lot of normal, everyday humans, they're not going to like that. That's like some shit you would expect orcs to do, or freaking reavers or something. Now, on the other hand, it does make a statement. That's a fact. It makes a statement. When you see a warrior coming down the road and you notice that his cloak is made out of the scalp of dead men, presumably, maybe women as well. I don't know. You would probably, I don't know, if you're a paladin, you'd probably get ready to fight because you'd probably think this guy is obviously evil. But again, with the way alignment works in Hyperborea, it's not always that easy. It's not always that easy. But, and me, because I am the DM of freedom, right? If the players want to do some wild ass shit, I will let them 100% of the time. I am that guy. I will 100% be like, oh, you want to be like a psychopath then, huh? All right. Like that. See, I'm a little surprised I never saw my shadow buddy. And I know he's got mass, but I mean, come on, man. That's been over for a while. So maybe he's playing a game with his boy, though. And that is a good and noble thing for him to be doing. But, you know, we often see that could be a whole discussion. That could be a whole panel. Even though you guys have seen me and Shadow argue about, other people could have opinions too, right? Like, do you think how people act in D&D necessarily translates to real life? See, me, sometimes I lean one way and sometimes I lean the other. It's kind of difficult, It's like, mm, if someone in game is doing some like really off the wall shit, I might be like away, right? But the problem is what I'm talking about currently, the cloak situation. I mean, that's just part of Hyperborea. That or the Hyborian world if you're playing Conan. That's just the kind of shit that certain assholes from certain cultures do. The guy in question that did that was definitely, if I remember correctly, Brythunian. And the Brythunians are not known to be, um, the nicest, kindest people, right? And then, of course, in Conan, and this is something me and Dean Bloodworth talked about, and I think there's a big misunderstanding with a lot of people about who the Hyperboreans are in Conan versus who they are in Hyperborea. And I'm here to tell you, they're the same people, right? It would be easy to claim they're not the same people, but if you read Army of the Dead, when Conan gets captured by Hyperboreans and how they're described and how they act and shit, you realize, oh no, they are 100% what's described in the Hyperborean rulebook. Super pale, freaking tall, pale hair, weird eyes. I mean, 100%. They are the Hyperboreans that you think. But there's two kinds of Hyperborean. That's kind of the situation. You have the civilized Hyperboreans, and they tend to be all sorcerers and warlocks and all that kind of shit. And then you have pretty much the degraded Hyperboreans, and they're the ones that tend to shave their teeth into points and run around trying to eat everybody, right? But the fact that you have two groups of Hyperboreans doesn't change anything in that what I said, which is that the Hyperboreans, the sorceress ones, the ones that weren't completely like inbred and stupid, they were still 100% Hyperborean. That was their shit. Yeah, Mike, I think so. I mean, and it's like, what do I consider distasteful or not? I think what you personally find distasteful probably has a lot to do with it. Like, you know, a guy wants to wear a cloak made out of the scalps of humans. First off, the first thing I would say to that guy is, well, did you kill all those humans? Did you defeat all of those warriors? And if the answer is no, then it's almost like a stolen valor situation. You know what I mean? It's like, then why are you wearing it? You know? Because the guy who did defeat all those humans, see, all those warriors, I should say, because we'll pretend like some of you guys are playing in other fantasy games. So maybe in your fantasy game, that guy's cloak's got some elf, you know, hair and maybe some dwarf beards woven into it or some shit. Which I would think as soon as any dwarf saw that, they'd just wig right the hell out. But whatever. We'll touch on that in a little bit, right? So, oh, I should have showed you the before. Let's let these girls sit up here and let that glue fully harden. Let's show you another super old miniature the second I can find it. Where did I put it? Well, when I find it again, I'll show it to you. It was right in front of you. This is a beat up old Chaos Warrior, right? And you can see that I probably spray painted that dude red and just kind of let him go his way because I was lazy at the time. So obviously he's getting a head swap. And I'm thinking he's going to get the head with the snakes facing each other because that's kind of cool, right? He can be a set worshiper or Yig or whatever. There he is. There he is. And I might do the hair along the top of the shoulders in patches so that maybe it does look like it's made out of scalps. He's definitely not going to be a good guy. Now, this is a 30-year-old miniature, and I've painted him and probably repainted him a number of times. You can see how I'm starting to paint the armor like that. I don't know, like aqua, like some kind of blue green. Um, I do have a unit of them that are predominantly white with red trim. I mean, if I wanted to do it the easy way, I'd paint the whole figure just a dark metal, and then paint the sword silver, and maybe do the cloth, a dark color, and call it a day. But for whatever reason, I was like, I'd like to make these guys a little bit more colorful because that's kind of a thing I like to do. I like to add some color. Hundreds of mole pelt. Yeah, right. It's like you have no idea how many moles suffered so that I could have this cloak. I mean, in its own way, that's kind of intimidating and impressive at the same time, right? So this guy, yeah, he's probably going to get some kind of evil looking shield, and I'm probably going to give him a. I've got a sprue with like actual evil looking weapons covered in skulls and stuff like that. So I'll give him something from that sprue. But yeah, last night I thought Shadow was running a live stream, and I actually went to join it, and I was sitting there like wondering why he hadn't invited me into the stream. When I realized that it was their session 0 and they were getting ready to play uh, a role playing game, mutant, you know, MCC or some shit. So imagine my embarrassment. So, I logged out and I said hi in chat. I think some of you guys were in the chat and so here we go. What do you think of that head? I think that's a good head for that guy, you know? And it looks creepy. It's definitely making it happen. And I'm thinking we'll do like this demonic looking shield. It's got like the skull on it and everything. Just throw that in his left hand. And then I'll need to pick a weapon for the right hand. And that could be, I have some choices here I'm going to have to make whether I want to go with, a big sword or an axe or a flail or something. Of course, I could also take a weapon from like the cultist kit because they got some janked up weapons. And I mean that like in a good way. They've got some weapons that are just like, wow, that just looks like it would be a horrible thing to deal with. Like a big rusty freaking great axe or something. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Let's keep looking for a second. See what we got. See what we got on the sprue. Yeah, this sprue, it comes with like good and evil like weapons. So that's kind of cool. So I'm thinking I'm going to give him the demon shield instead of the shield I had showed you. And it's literally a shield in the shape of a demon. And I'm thinking for a weapon, I'll give him a big spiky like warhammer. I think both of these will be good choices. So let me grab my knife. All right. So we got a nice thing going on there. So we need to grab this guy and probably I'm going to need to drill a hole in that weapon arm. But yeah, you guys can stare at that guy for a minute too. Rah! That's right. If you go up on the near the plateau of Ling, there's the plateau of Zen, and it's all overrun with those bastards right there. Just waiting for you to show up. I'm pretty sure they are not friendly. I'm going to go out online here and say these are not friendly creatures. They are not there. I mean, I have a feeling that anyone who shows up there that's not one of them is probably going to get ate. And I also have a feeling that even if you are one of them, if you're in the wrong, like clan, tribe, family, whatever, you're probably going to get eight. I mean, so that is the one thing I think that you can count on with those guys is the fact that you're probably going to get eight. And as monsters go, they're a very good challenge for like your mid high level group. They get 5 attacks around, one of which is a poison stinger attack. So already right there, that's a nightmare for players. Players, generally speaking, are not huge fans of making those poison saves. And yeah, there's not a lot of them. The number appearing is not like a horde of them necessarily, but it's the few that show up, and the fact that some of them may, be spellcasters. So you might actually have a family of these guys show up, and one of the guys that shows up is actually a cleric or a necromancer or something. And that, I think, would be a bad time for most groups. I mean, in Hyperborea, casters are indeed physically weak. That die 4 hit points is not super impressive. And they're typically not getting the huge bonus to their hit points because they're typically not putting their, high stats in the con or whatever. But if you let them get their spells off, all of a sudden, it can make everything just really bad, just terribly bad. And that is a thing, right? Now, monster spellcasters, they're the worst because they get their normal hit points, right? And then if they have class levels, I suppose you would roll the class levels hit points, but a scorpion man just begins its life as like a 5 or 6 hit die creature. If it picks up a couple levels of necromancer, then I mean, good luck. Good luck to you. Okay. Mm, I've been inadvertently watching a lot of Legion of Myth, let me tell you. I don't know how, but my YouTube has decided I need to watch Legion of Myth. So, and it's so weird how the algorithm works. Like, I'll go in and I'll literally type in Roxy music, right? Because I'm in the mood for a little Roxy music. Love is a drug or whatever, right? I'm listening to Roxy music. I'm having a good time. The song ends, Legion of Myth. And I'm just like, how? How did this happen? You know? And I like Max as much as the next guy, maybe a little more, but okay. So there we are. He's got a big ass hammer, and the shield he has is some kind of demon ass, right? Some kind of winged demon thing. So he is obviously a bad guy. I mean, even though you probably knew he was a bad guy because, he's wearing a cloak made of human skin. And that means I might take well, not might, I will take my Gundam brush, or not brush, pen and draw lines and then draw like a um lately their videos are actually not bad at all. And a lot of their newer stuff, they've had Bear, Doc, a couple of other guys like that on. And I mean, Max runs a tight ship. So when they say they're going to talk about something, that is what they talk about. I mean, no BSing around, right? So it's not quite the stream of consciousness that I do. It's a lot more organized, which I think is good, right? Um, Now, there is a petty little devilish part of me that whenever they're doing their uh, game mastery things and they're talking about, how to DM the game, the little devilish part of me always kind of snorts at most of the people they have on as DMs because I am just arrogant enough to think that I know way more about running a game than most of the people they have on as guests. Now, that said, would I ever want to go on their show? Because I used to quite often and take part in one of those panels. And the answer is no, because, you know, I've already hashed over how I do things so many times that I am just not super interested in doing it like for a fifth time, you know, or a 10th time. I would much rather sit here with you guys and just talk about whatever comes to mind than have to follow like a set um, scheduled conversation. But that doesn't mean that I dislike how they do their thing because, yeah, I've woke up with that on the TV like every day for it's been a while, you know? Yeah, the algorithm that's a fact, you know? And I'm not even kidding. Like I will put on like some crazy like Russian Soviet post-punk band like Nazari or something like that, right? Kino. And it'll play one or two of those songs and then it will immediately pop over to Legion of Men. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't even know how YouTube. I mean, I actually thought about getting in touch with Max. I mean, like, how are you doing that? Um, Here's the thing. My favorite Legion of Myth, and Max is his own man. He can do his own things, and I'm never going to judge him poorly for any decisions he makes with his show. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not trying to be political here. I mean, he and I butted heads about stuff, but ultimately, he's a good guy. I like him, and I wish him the best. So, whatever, right? I used to absolutely love when Legion of Myth did their Friday night stream, and you would get like me, Bruce, you know, like a lot of the old timers on, right? And we would just talk about whatever games and stuff, and every time freaking Max said Earth Dawn, you had to drink, which almost killed me one night because I think I had like 12 shots of vodka one night because of that, right? And I absolutely looked forward to those Friday nights. And then, of course, somebody would say something, and Max would go off on a rant, which was the best, right? The Max rants, like, and they're so easy to get out of him. All you got to do is like say, they is perfectly okay to use when describing a singular person, and you got him right then, right? But I think at some point he decided he wanted to be a little bit more professional, and that's what he's doing. And I think it's working because, like I said, the algorithm is definitely sending it to me. And so maybe it's YouTube telling me, hey, maybe you should stop being the way you are and become a little bit more professional like Max, right? But it's really weird because I watch pretty much everything Double D does. Like even when he does the middle of the frickin' day out of the blue, uh, I want to talk about some bullshit stuff. I always watch it, right? Double D never gets suggested in my feed. Not one time has Double D ever been suggested in my feed. Um, that is, Mike, that's incredibly flattering of you to say. But I mean, back then it was just the whole group. I mean, you had Bruce, myself, sometimes Hungar, Connell, who I tend to make fun of a lot. Occasionally, Shauner would be in the audience just doing Shauner stuff, and it was just a good time, right? L was alive back then, and he was always like kind of hanging out, stirring the pot. So yeah, it was just a different time, is all. Now, Max actually expects, if you watch his show, for you to learn something about gaming. Okay, that's cool. You know what I mean? That is cool. But see, and then Double D, he usually does not have anyone on a show unless they're like someone big in the industry. That's just the way he runs his show, right? Um, and again, I totally get that. I mean, I guarantee you, like Legion of Myth, Double D, even Scott Garvey, they're probably all putting up better numbers than I am. I would bet you that freaking Condor DM might even be. But the difference, guys, is I don't care. You know, that's kind of the real difference here. Is I don't do this to make money. I do it to interact with you guys. That's why I do it. And that's why a lot of times, if the viewer count, I will stay here with 4 or 5 people watching. When the viewer count goes down to like one, that's when it's time for me to go play Conan or something. Because, the people watching the video have spoken. And by have spoken, that, they've decided they're not watching. And if they're not watching, then what would be the point of me sitting here talking to myself? That would be kind of whatever, right? Now, it does remind me of one thing, and that is that your boy needs to start making more offline content. Like where I did that whole review of 5 Leagues from Home and the one where you go through the gate, whatever, forbidden or forgotten ruin. Those should not have just been me talking about live streaming. I should actually upload those. And I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll find the video where I live stream talked about them, and I'll just clip those parts and load them up as normal, videos of me just talking about those games, right? Now, unfortunately, Forgotten Ruins apparently is out of print. And that sucks because I think a lot of the people who were kind of hype about that whole thing I was talking about, it was the Forgotten Ruins one that they were mostly hype about. The idea that you could build your team of I've already kind of got a Hyperborea series where I just talk about the modules, but I'll tell you what, Stephen, I don't know if you're on my Discord or not, but if you want to send me to post things that you're interested in hearing me talk about, or you just think that people should hear me talk about for whatever reason, uh, you know, post, let me know. I mean, because sometimes it is difficult to sit down in front of a camera where you don't have any interaction at all, right? And just say, you know, some guys are really good at that. I am not, and I know why, and I know what I need to do. And that's basically, I need to write down uh, like points that I want to talk about before I even sit down. I want to go ahead. I'm not saying fully script, but I am saying it would probably help me a lot if I would just write down a couple points of interest so that I could look at it and stay on track and knock the review out without accidentally wandering all over the place when I have my little stream of consciousness bit. Um, I think if I did that, yeah. But I mean, maybe I'll do a Hyperborea third edition because I cannot call it AS and S the way you do. I can't do it because I never knew it that way. So every time you do it, there's a part of my brain that has to translate what you're even talking about because I'm so used to it just being called Hyperborea. Pretty weird, right? But okay, this is coming out pretty good actually. But I do want to make a video about the optional rules for combat. Because one, I saw them and I fell in love with them. Absolutely. I think the optional rules for combat in Hyperborea 3rd Edition are some of the best role playing game rules I've ever seen in my entire life. And I mean that. I mean, they are just so good. And I've talked about them before, but I'm talking about actually making a video where I go over them. I really do need to do that for myself, if nothing else. But then I could also send it to my players and be like, hey, bear in mind, guys, you have options. It's not just all, I swing my sword. I mean, you can, depending on, how your character is and everything, there's a bunch of other shit you can do. And yeah, that's one I should do. They are in the core book. Yes, they are. And of course, as always, Stephen, I have the core book here. And if I open her up, we go back to the combat section, right? Which is at or around chapter 9. It is chapter, and that would make it 260, page 260, right? And the first thing it starts out with is rates of fire for weapons, depending on magistry and stuff like that. And then it goes to attack roll modifiers, like if you're flanking, invisible, higher ground, firing a missile weapon at long, medium, or at a target engaged with an ally, rear attack. So it's got all of your different things that you can or can't use depending on how tactical you want to get, right? But then it goes over your actual actions. And here's something people mess up, right? Whatever your movement speed is, let's say you're wearing light armor and you've got a movement speed of 40. In combat, you only move half speed because you're not, you know, just running about willy nilly. You're moving with a purpose. However, when we go to page 269, charge attacks. With a charge attack, you can beeline directly at your opponent, take one attack, supersedes all normal attack rates. So even if you've got a 3-2 or whatever, you only take one. And then you would fight normally the next round, right? But a charge attack has to be reasonably straight, a minimum distance of 15 feet, cannot cross unreasonable terrain, GM exceptions, and you get +2 to the damage bonus of that attack, but -2 armor class penalty. Right, right. That's, I think, a problem, at least in my group, not with anyone else. But in my group, I think too many of the players skimmed this particular chapter, and they're basically, I hate to use the word, the whole leaving money on the table, but that's what they're doing because it turns out that their characters can do way more stuff if they need to, you know. So you got all these rules for mounted combats, charging on a horse, unarmed combat, pummeling somebody, so you're trying to knock them out, pushing them, slamming them with the shield. You can fight in different stances. So that's a thing too. It's like you can fight conservatively, which gives you a -2 to hit, but gives you an armor class bonus. You can use your round instead of attacking to try to dodge, getting an armor class bonus. You can double feint. You can there's so many things. I mean, it goes on for like 2 pages. So it's not like super hardcore, like, oh my God, how am I ever going to remember this? It's literally like 2.5 pages. And some of this stuff was in AD&D, like setting spears, etc. But yeah, like critical hits in Hyperborea, when you get a critical hit, you roll a dice 6. That determines what the crit is. So if you roll a 1, it's +2 to your damage if you're a fighter, right? +1 otherwise. But if you roll a 6, it's ×3 damage if you're a fighter. Clerics and thieves also get ×3, but magicians only get ×2 damage. Tell the stories of my players. They're a bunch of munchkins. That's the stories. And then there is a critical miss table here. And for free, you can also download the Zagwa's Curse or whatever, which actually gives you a little bit more detail with critical failures. You really don't need it. Then we've got a whole chapter on death, dying, resurrection, reincarnation. Uh, Now, here's something that a lot of people I don't know think about: madness. Because in this game, certain otherworldly creatures can literally drive the players insane. And it's got all the different madnesses you can get. So yeah, it's there's just so much here. And then of course in the back, I love this, the name generators. I know you can barely see it, but there's just pages of name generators. So if you're the kind of person that really you're like, I'm gonna play a Lemurian, and it's like, okay, what's your character name? I have no idea. Well, you can either roll or just look through. There's some pretty good names here, actually. Daizan, Chozen. I mean, they're very like almost they're very Asian, but not necessarily Bao. Bao is like Korean, I think. Chang is more Chinese. Chow is more Chinese. And then for last names, Han, Hugh, Ji, Jiao, Jin, Kang. So yeah, very much Asian, East Asian. Then for your Cimmerians, you've got a lot of Greek actually Greek sounding names. So like a personal name for a female Cimmerian could be Aspasia, Chrysanthi, Elpis, Edokia, Euphemia. And that kind of makes sense because at the time that there were Scythians and Cimmerians and all that living in that area, um, the Scythians themselves were typically worshippers of Ares, not Mars, Ares. So yeah, they were step horsemen, but they did typically adopt Hellenistic culture. So I need to do a shade on this guy, and I need to do something real quick. But I'm going to show you the guy I've been working on this last little bit of time while we were talking. Let's see if I can get this to lay on there right. I'll tell you, some of the paints that Reaper gives you for free are amazing, and some of them, it's like there's no pigment in them at all. You're just like, hello, pigment. I'd like this paint to make something a color, and it's not really doing that. I guess these paints strongly believe in the too thin coats doctrine, you know. Now, luckily for what I'm doing, that the red I'm using is not necessarily bad because I'm painting over red and I'm just trying to brighten it up a little bit. So it's not too bad. So I'm going to show this guy. Again, no shading or anything. This is just a basic paint job. So there he is. And that could be an enemy warrior you meet in Hyperborea. I like how he's kind of looking down because he's so freaking tall. It's like pretty much anyone he walks up to, he's going to be looking down. So, Kevin the Cimmerian. Yeah. But so anyway, guys, I hope you liked this kind of new format where I talk to you and BS around, but then I actually show you the stuff I'm working on. I managed to get a couple miniatures painted today. That's good. And eventually that guy will get shaded, maybe highlighted, and everything like that. But it is time for me to go. So I hope you guys had a good time, and I will see you in the future. Until then, peace and love, and painting and gaming and all that. And yes, I will. Yeah, definitely a set worshiper, Steven. I will chat with you guys later. or Ducato.